Welcome everyone. This is the Luxlift Property Podcast, and today we have a very interesting topic, I hope, for many people, because everyone is passionate about property. I'm passionate about property. We all love real estate. And on a daily basis, we get calls by people saying, I love real estate. I want to be in real estate. What does it take? I love houses. Is that all it takes? Well, Nicolene is here to tell us all about it. And I hope you find value in this. And I hope that a lot of amazing real estate agents emerge after this podcast. And others maybe just realize, is it for you or not? Nicolene, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in real estate, and what have you seen and what is your experience in terms of it?
All right. So my name's Nicolene and I started in the real estate all the way back in 2008. Now, for those of you that's been in the industry back then, remember the interest rate was quite high. We had the whole National Credit Act come in. We had banks that doesn't want to lend any money. And that's where my journey began. So for me, it felt like a normal market, but in reality, it was actually a difficult market. So I think the pro that I had was entering the market at such a difficult stage that everything that came afterwards, it was actually a normal market, seemed easy. But way back when, we didn't have all the information we have today. I mean, we have YouTube and Facebook and blogs and podcasts where we can get all the information from. Back then, if you didn't speak to the best of the best, if you didn't go import books or get courses from overseas, you just wouldn't get them. And being a little bit of a nerd myself, I always wanted to find out what makes the difference, because you would see one agent being really successful and another agent not being able to pay their bills, for example. What was the difference? And there was a core couple of principles that I saw that the top agents did, how they did it, and that made the difference. So it's not, passion is definitely the first thing that we start, but it's all about the actions that you take that's going to get you to the results. So recently, or actually for the last 15 years, my job was to find out what makes the top, what makes them great, and what do they actually do. So not just the knowledge, but the doing part of it. So basically what I do in a nutshell.
The unfortunate reality is also, though, that getting to the top, there's quite a lot of climbing. And I think what a lot of people don't realize maybe is what it takes to get there, because you don't start there. Even if you are learning from people who are basically on the top, you're not going to be the one selling those 10, 20, 30 million rand houses for a long time to come. So what would you say when you've seen and you've trained so many agents who have become successful, or others that have walked away? Where do you think people are maybe getting it wrong, or having the wrong expectation, or maybe going in but not prepared to do the work? Where are you seeing failures coming from?
I think not being willing to stick with something long enough. Now, if we plant a seed today, we don't come back tomorrow and expect a tree to be there.
Yeah.
We know instinctively that I'm going to have to plant the seed, I'm going to have to water it, care for it, nourish it, weed out all the weeds, and before I'm going to get the fruit. But when I actually do get the fruit, I don't just get back that one seed that I planted, I get back thousands and thousands of fruits and thousands of seeds. It's exactly the same in real estate. In the beginning, you're going to work a lot harder for what you're going to get paid out. But if you are willing to stick with it long enough, then you're going to bear fruits more than the seeds that you have planted. And if we look at the core formula to real estate, there's 5 steps, and it's very easy. First of all is you need to make contacts. You have to take those contacts, turn them into leads, take those leads, turn them into appointments, and then take those appointments and then turn them into listings, and then listings into sales. Now, I always ask the agents, can you get upset with the results that you didn't get for the work that you didn't do? And instinctively, everybody goes, well, no, of course not. But then the question is, did you make contacts? Because if you're in real estate, you're in a people business. There's no properties owned that are not owned by people. So are you willing to speak to people? And then when you speak to people, are you willing to turn them into leads, finding out, do they have a need for your property? Because I could speak to you today and you do have a need for property, but maybe not today, maybe only in a year's time, but you're still a lead. So it's me building that relationship with you over a period of time. And Grant Cardone always says that you take someone, a contact from a contract, and that's a little R, that's the different. And that R is the relationships. And relationships don't happen overnight. So the difference between the successful agents and the unsuccessful agent is that, firstly, the successful agents dislike doing the same things, but they do it anyway. They do it anyway, and they do it long enough for the results to come. So this isn't a business where you can come in today and tomorrow be a multimillionaire. But if you do the right things over and over again, it will happen for you. The formula is simple.
So I get a lot of calls constantly. People watch our social media channels, and of course, all these properties look amazing. The reels, the music. It's really exciting, and we get a lot of matriculants, and we do love the idea of training youngsters and developing them into successful agents. What we have discovered, there's maybe a little bit of a disconnect between the expectation, but also what we discovered is maybe one reason why the older agents are more successful is, apart from doing the work, is the emotional intelligence. You've built up maturity, and you are more people think you're more trustworthy when you are older in real estate, because let's face it, I don't necessarily want to hear an 18-year-old telling me why this house is right for me. Or do I? Do you think it's the attitude or the age, or is it a combination?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the most important one, for me at least, when I started in real estate, I was 22 years old, but I looked 16. So I had this fear in my mind that older guy or auntie or uncle is not going to listen to me, because what do I know? So me believing that they weren't going to listen to me was a big part of me not actually going out there. And that's where my whole thing started, trying to know everything that I needed to know. And then I realized, when I actually put myself out there and I just went and I knew the things I needed to know to get me to where I needed to be, people listen to you if you had the knowledge. But that knowledge and understanding comes with time.
Yeah.
So it's easy to learn it. Absolutely, you can. And I've seen agents that are 19 years old that do an average of 2 to 3 sales every single month.
Wow.
And I've seen agents that are 60, 70 years old that are doing the same. So is it an age thing? Yes and no. Yes, if you are not at that mature level to know that I need to do certain things, and if you don't have the knowledge yet. Because the reality is, if you don't know your farming area, if you don't know the properties that you are specializing, doesn't matter what age you are, people are not going to listen to you.
True.
And I think that's the most important part. So it doesn't have to take you 1,000 years to get there, but you need to do the things. And one of the things that I always like to say is that you are not set apart from your goals by a matter of time. You are set apart from your goals by a matter of actions. So whether you're old or young, whether you're going to be successful in real estate it's how quickly are you going to take the actions needed to get you to where you need to be. But in order for you to understand real estate and to, let's call it luxury properties, there's a different clientele that sits in luxury, and they have different information that they need. So it's not as simple as just showing them a property.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more that comes with time, regardless of the age that you're in. So even if you're an experienced agent entering luxury, you might also have a little bit of a time frame before you get to that stage.
And that's interesting, because we don't just sell luxury properties. We sell properties from a few 100,000 and up. We do rentals of 10,000 and up. But what we found when we deal with young agents, or wannabe agents rather, is that they want to start with those 5 million, 10 million rand houses. And you find then they become overwhelmed, because the moment someone asks 2 or 3 hard questions, they get stuck and they don't know what to say. So we do try to encourage them to stick it out. When I started, I was, apartments in Midrand. We had so many apartments. You do these tiny little sales, but it's exciting because you've done the sale, and by doing that sale, you become confident in dealing with people, and then you become confident in dealing with the more expensive places. But I think maybe where the expectation is wrong is where I see this agent, I want to learn from them, and I want to start with the same houses where this agent starts. And I think maybe with the matriculants or first, second year after matric, young youth, they should develop more patience, right?
I think they have to start where they stand. where are they currently living? If they are currently, who's your circle of influence at that stage? So there's a saying in Afrikaans that says, elke pot het sy deksel, which basically means that every pot has got its own lid.
Yeah.
So don't think that only the fancy houses sell.
Yeah.
That's not true. I know millionaire estate agents that sell between 800 and 1.2 million rand, and I know agents selling in luxury that are not making money. So it's not the property type that you sell, it's you, because you take yourself with you wherever you go. So can you go into the luxury? Yes, you can absolutely. But we can't look at someone like you that's been doing this for so many years and say, I want to start where you are now. I have to start where you were 10 years ago.
That's actually a brilliant point.
Because you standing at door number 20 and I have key number 1 and I'm going, but this is not opening. But you're not starting at the right door. So yes, everybody can absolutely be you. Everybody can sell luxury properties, but they still have to start where you started. And you didn't start by knowing everything.
Yeah.
You didn't start with a 20 million rand property. You didn't start with the whole production crew. You started one listing, one flat in Midrand, maybe at that time 300, 400,000 rand. So once we get that confidence, and it's the same transaction, but it's different people. And knowing people is also part of the skill that you need to learn.
Yeah, that's true. So when someone calls you and it's someone who doesn't have work experience, without turning them away, how do you convey a realistic, what would you say if I was now an 18-year-old, I wish, and I was saying I want to be in real estate, I'm passionate about it, I promise you I'll do the work, but you want to convey how much work it entails without trying to put someone off, obviously, but they need to keep that motivation and that willingness to work for quite some time. You know, often we say 6 months to 12 months at least.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the first thing is that everybody can be a real estate agent because it's easy, but not everybody will. So I think the first thing is like, are you willing to do the work without getting the reward for a long period of time? Because generally we say 6 to 12 months. But could you get a sale in the first day? You could. It's highly unlikely. But even if you get a sale today, you are only going to get that income in 3 months to 4 months' time. So even if you're the best in the world, you're still not going to get income for 4 months. It's just not going to happen. And then it is about, are you willing to do the work? Now, everybody thinks that agents work half a days.
Yeah.
It's more like when I open my eyes until I close my eyes. So are you willing to be available when other people are available? Because the reality is the majority of the buyers and sellers only have time in the afternoon or late afternoon or early on in the weekends. Are you willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do?
Yeah.
And if you firstly say, well, I only want to work a 9 to 5 job and I want the security of a house and I don't like to deal with people, then my answer is going to be no, real estate isn't for you. But if you say, I love people, I can take rejection, because this is a high rejection business. And not to take things personally, because me saying, no, I don't want this house, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Yeah. It's just this house isn't for me. Someone saying, no, I don't want you to sell my house, doesn't mean necessarily something wrong with you. It's just not, you might not click with that seller. So it is a high rejection. Can you take rejection? That's the first one. Are you willing to do what it takes? Are you willing to work the hours that no one are willing to do? Because if you're willing, if it's no to those questions, then real estate isn't for you. That's the first thing that you need to do. Once you say, yes, I am willing to work hard, I am willing to do all of those things, and the next thing I'm going to ask you is, are you willing to do the same thing over and over and over again? Because we see the luxury homes and we see these beautiful things and it looks very exciting. But behind the scenes, the same thing that you have to do every single day consistently. It's feedback, it's marketing, it's all of those things. So are you willing to do the not so boring parts to get to those exciting parts? And every job has them.
Yeah.
Every job had them. And then it is, are you willing to pay your dues? Because in life, we have to sow first before we can reap.
Yeah.
Are you going to sow hard work and all of that before you're going to get that stock? And if you're willing to stick out the time, yes, real estate is for you. But if the answer is no, real estate might not be for you right now.
And it could be later, like you said.
Later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be later.
What we often facing with is someone is running their small business and they feel, okay, my business is not keeping me busy. the whole day. Therefore, I can do this. I can fit this in on the side. I'll make time. I'm sure of it. And so on. What do you say to this? You already said it's not a part-time job. Can you actually run two businesses? Because I'm yet to see it happen with anyone. Yeah.
Not in my experience, because where focus goes, energy flows. And both jobs that you have, real estate or your other business, is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Real estate is a full-time job. And if you're doing something else in the time that you should be spending in real estate, then there's certain things that aren't being done.
Okay.
Are you marketing the property correctly? Are you giving enough feedback? Or do you know your farming area? Are you an expert in the field? And that takes time. That can't be done in an hour a day. So is it possible? I know of some agents that have started, but the moment they got their first sale, they went in full time.
Okay.
That may be yes, but as a full-time thing over a period of years being part-time, no. You just, it's a full-time job. And if you're not focusing on it, it's not going to happen. Could you maybe sell one property every 3 or 4 months? Maybe. But if you want to be in real estate, you want to be a millionaire real estate agent. You want to be the expert. You want to be the professional. And if you don't know everything about the area that you're specializing in, you're actually doing the sellers in your area a disservice. Because if you're a part-time agent, how do you know what the market is doing? How do you know if it's going up? How do you know if it's going down? How do you know how to price a property? And then everything becomes harder. And when everything becomes harder, we start getting the wrong information to people. And when we give the wrong information, we price it incorrectly. We don't market it to the right people. And then nothing happens. So no, I've never met a millionaire real estate agent that can do two things. Every specialist in the world make more money because they specialize. They're good at one specific thing.
Yeah. And what do you have any success stories where someone came on board, trained by you, and did everything by the book and became successful super fast? So what is best case scenario? Because everyone's going to ask, when am I going to do my first sale?
So even if you're the best and the best, like we said before, even if I do a sale today, I start real estate today, I do a sale, I'm only going to get my money in 3 months. 6, maybe even 4 months, depending on the deeds office. But if you do the thing, the results will come. So let's say I've had agents that sell property in the first month. Which is fantastic because the average agent takes about 7 to 9 months to make their first sale.
7 to 9.
7 to 9 months, which is average, which already means half is more than that and half is less than that. But I've had agents in their first month make sales. The best one was at a previous company that I had where it was like a program that I took them through, and she had 7 OTPs in her first 2 months.
Wow.
So not all of them went through, obviously, because we know how that works, but that's 7 people putting pen to paper. Yes. And it's about knowing your farming area, working your listing file to get those listings. Once you have that, because if you don't have the stock, no one will come to you. So a lot of agents get stuck on, I need buyers. No, you need stock. Yeah. And stock is the listing. Stock is that thing that you put on the market. And in order for someone to entrust the most expensive thing that they've ever owned in their life to you, you have to show some form of credibility, some form of knowledge in the area. Because no one's going to give you the most expensive thing if you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. And that takes a little bit of time. So you can have a sale month. If you're a rental agent, you can start in rentals today and get money at the end of the month if you've got your first rental. But is it possible? Yes. But is it the reality? No. The reality, it'll take a little bit of time. But again, it's not your time, it's the actions. So if you're willing to take the actions that take other people 4 months and you're willing to take them in a month, then yes, the results are going to be there. But it's all about what you do.
Yeah. And what I've noticed is that there's this long period of time where you put in a lot of work and it feels like nothing is happening. And then you almost feel like you reach a tipping point. And then the wave turns and suddenly a lot is happening, what you almost didn't expect even, but that's because you've done all this work. But I find it's very difficult to keep people motivated, especially if it's a new career for them, because inevitably everyone says, yeah, you told me all this, but I'm different. I will work harder. I will do better. I will do this. I will do that. And then week after week, if they encounter the no's, they do their calls and, no one's giving them a listing, or they're not getting those offers, then you find after about month 3, I see the motivation goes down, and I see that person going, is this for me? Or am I the unlucky one? Or is it the market? Or, so ultimately, what is it? Is it actually the actions?
It's the follow through. Because we all heard the story about stopping 3 feet from gold, right?
Yeah.
Where someone goes, and just before they quit, then the next guy goes and achieves whatever they wanted to achieve. It's that follow through. Everything in real estate, you are where you are today because of what you did 3 months ago. Now, generally, all the actions that you do today is only going to pay off in 3 months. Now, that's a general guideline, but it's not a true fact. It doesn't mean I do something today and exactly 90 days I'm going to get the results.
Yeah.
But the cycle is the same.
Yeah.
So if you are, and the cycle flows, so the moment that you stop anything in the cycle, your 90 days starts over.
Yeah.
So it's like the compound effect, right?
Yeah.
It's 1, it's 2, 2 goes to 4, goes to 8, 16, and goes all the way. But when you stop, you start by 1.
Yeah.
So what I tell agents a lot of times is, if you're tired of starting over, then stop giving up. Because every time you give up, every time you stop lead generating, every time you stop giving feedback, you start all the way from day number 1 again. So the cycle stays the same, but are you willing to push through? And if you're just willing to push through to that 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, the results will come. Now, I normally don't tell them it'll take you 3 months. I tell them 6 months, because then when it happens in 4 months, they're surprised. But if I tell them 3 months and they get to 2 months, 2.5, then they already get edgy. But if they know it's going to take them 6 months and then it takes 4 months, it's a better, like, over promise and under promise and over deliver.
Yes,
right?
yeah. Pleasantly surprised rather than unpleasantly.
Exactly. And that is human nature. Think about anything. Think about going on a diet. Think about running. Think about exercising. Think about everything. Human nature is to stick with something for about a month and a half, and then we get edgy.
Yeah.
But it's if you're willing to push through to that part. And it's that uncomfortableness, because when you're uncomfortable, that's when you know you're growing. If you're doing something and it's easy, you're not growing. So you have to push through. I would say if you enter the market and you are serious about real estate, you cannot even think about quitting until you've reached month 6. You can't even think about it. And then if we look at stats, like, for example, that you have to contact someone at least in the olden days 6 times before they would know who you are, what you do, and where to find you. And in today's business, that's about 11 times with all the information that is coming our way. So that means that I can't say that there's no one in my area that wants to give me a listing if I haven't contacted them at least 11 times.
So what do you do? I mean, speaking of that, that's very interesting. I call someone and they say, no, I'm not selling. Do I contact them once a year for 11 years and, hope for the best? Or, what other reason then do you have to contact a person so soon?
By providing value. Now, they don't want to sell right now, but do they want to know information about the property? Do they want to know information about the market? Do they want to know about things that are happening? So what information could I give someone that owns a property that maybe just bought it a month or 2 ago that is going to find value? Because almost like 80% of people said that they would use their same agent again, but when it came time to using a new agent, only about 20% did, because that agent didn't keep in contact with them. So it's that, remember that from contact to contract is that relationship.
Yes.
And that relationship doesn't mean I have to be your best friend. That relationship means that if you think real estate, you only think of me. Yeah. So could I phone up my seller and instead of saying, hey, do you want to sell your house? Could I say, hi, Mr. Seller, we have done a fair market value report for this area, and we've been phoning up the owners to find out if they want it, and they're absolutely loving it. And I'm just phoning you to find out if you want to know what the area is doing and if your property showed any growth. You're not asking for anything. You're just providing value. That's what they want to know. If the interest rate goes up or down, the majority of people say, well, the interest rate went up and this means you're going to pay X amount more on your bond. But we never say what it means in general to them. Like a buyer, yes, it's went up and down, but as a buyer, if it goes up with 1%, what that means to you is you now have 1% less buying power. So if you could qualify for $1 million, you now only qualify for 900. Mr. Seller, what this means to you is that not only are you going to pay, let's say, 100 and something rand more per million on your bond, or 200 or 300 rand more, but it also means that the buyers could afford your property now can't afford it anymore. So explaining to them not only what the market is doing, but what it means to them. People are generally not interested about things that are not relevant to them.
Yeah.
So when I give information every single month on stuff that they want to know, and it doesn't always have to be directly interest rate, those kind of things. It could be 3 ways that you can landscape your garden on a budget. It could be 4 things to implement in your house to save electricity. Once you provide value, you are then seen as the expert in the field. And once you're the expert in the field, if I think property, I have to think of you.
Yeah.
And that's when you're going to get more and more listings. But it's all about giving first. Because we sometimes as agents, especially new younger agents, we say, well, give me the heat and then I'll give you the wood.
Yeah.
But in reality is you have to put in the wood first. Then the result's going to come. So you have to provide values to your market first, values to your sellers before they can trust you to give you a listing.
So back to learning a lot, because if you start, and that is where the 6, 8, 9, 10, I even say 12 months really to start thinking that you can sustain yourself. But if you don't have the knowledge, you can't provide any value because you know as little or less than the seller.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's where the trust relationship, they can like you, but they don't need to trust you because you don't seem to know much.
And if we look at it, the average person living in the area between 5 and 8 years. So that's a long time to live in an area. Now, if an agent comes and gives you information about an area that you know isn't true, because you've lived there for 5 or 8 years, then nothing they say from that point on, they're going to trust. Because would you listen to someone you don't trust?
Yeah.
Of course not, right?
Yeah.
So that's why knowing what we need to know before we talk about people or talk about the area is critical.
Yeah.
Because people, you know your area just by living in there, whether you sell in that area or not. You know what is going on in the area. So you need to at least know that to be on equal ground with the sellers.
But now we're talking about all this time, but it's an expensive investment then for someone, back to our young interns who want to build a career around this. How do people do that? Because they need a cell phone, they need a reliable internet connection, they need a reliable car. I've had several people contact us to say, okay, we want to come and learn. We're going to Uber. And I say it's not going to work because every time you're thinking of how many hundreds of rands you're going to spend showing a place, you subconsciously not going to want to show that place.
So you block yourself.
Because you're thinking, okay, this is so much money. So it's a very expensive industry to be in. So how can a young person without the means go into that industry then?
So the first thing is, which jump to, I just want to make sure people understand that real estate is a great place to be. We're giving them the pros and the cons, but it is a great place. Now, if you had to go and you wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor, you had to go and study for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, which you had to pay for anyway before you could start making money.
True.
But then they go into real estate and they want money now, but they don't think that the amount of income that you can generate, you still have to learn stuff. Now, we're lucky enough in real estate that we can earn while we learn, which is great, but we still need to learn and we still need to invest. And that learning is time and money. Petrol is money, phone bills, taking all of that's all money that we need to put into. So how can you do it? Well, I'm going to tell you how I did it.
Yeah.
When I started, I waited at night.
Okay.
All right. So I waited at night, but it was hard because you were literally working from 6, 7 o'clock in the morning all the way to 9, 10. And if you came in late at the restaurant where I used to work, you would have to work till 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Yes. But it is hard. So if you're not willing to do those things, it's not going to happen. Other options that you have is, do you have a spouse or someone that could carry you for that period of time? So before you enter into real estate and you may be married, you have to go and make sure your spouse is okay with supporting you for that period of time.
Yes.
We've had some people that went overseas, saved up for a bit, and then came back and sustained themselves as well. You could get, there are places that could get you bursaries for some of the qualifications that you need, but you would still need to be able to cover yourself. Now, if you're 18, 19 years old and you may be still staying with your parents, then how much could your expenses be?
True.
So if your expenses are fairly low and you had a second job, now when I say second job, I also said previously that you can't do both. But if you are willing to pay your dues and have that income and you don't have parents or someone that can support you with that, then absolutely go and do what you need to do. I'm not going to tell you that it was easy. It was hard. You're tired all the time. You had to do what you needed to do. You worked doubles and all of those things to be able to carry yourself. But once you're over that hump, once you get your first sale, now what you do is 10% of everything that you earn, you save.
Okay.
10% you save. Now you get your commission. Let's say you get about 30, 40,000 Rand, depending on what property you sell. Once you get that commission, if your expenses is only 5,000 Rand now, don't go and blow 40,000 Rand. Tell yourself that, okay, this can now last me for 8 months. If your expenses is 10,000 Rand or 15,000 Rand, put that out for the next 3 months and then just keep on going, keep on going. So your first sale, you never get to spend. Your first sale is expenses and 10% gets to save.
Okay.
Then your second sale and your third sale, you don't get to touch. You save that money. And then your fourth sale is spending money. And I'm going to explain to you why, and it sounds a bit ridiculous, but your first sale is expenses and 10% money, old use money, because the market just go up and the market does go down.
Okay.
So you always want to be in that position that if something happens, you can survive, because there's nothing worse than commission breath.
Okay.
You know that people that are like super desperate for a sale, that they'll do anything.
Yeah.
And then if you can save property 2 and property 3's money for about 2 to 3 years, then you can buy your own property with that money. Now you rent it out.
Okay.
And then if you want to go to that holiday or overseas trip, you use property number 4. Then if you keep on doing that over a period of time, within 10 years, you've got 3-4 properties that are paid off.
Oh, wow.
That you are now generating income from, but it starts be willing to do the things that you need to do.
Yes.
Willing not to go and buy that fancy car, even if you can afford it. Willing not to go to the restaurant every night just because your friends are going. Being willing not to go to the clubs every night and spending a bunch of money just because you can afford it. It's having that discipline, because if you are willing to do what other people aren't willing to do right now, then one day you'll be able to live like other people can't.
Hey, that's a very good point. But speaking of the fancy cars, there is this belief if people see successful agents only if they drive a fancy car. Don't we start with the car?
That is the perception, right? But I think if you drive with the most, what they call a skedonk, okay, even if you drive a skedonk, but you get to those people and you know what you are talking about and you are saying the right things, then they don't really care about your car. I mean, if how many people have you met that are multi-billion millionaires and they're sitting there with a plain black shirt?
Yeah.
You have no idea what they are. So the people at a specific place, that won't matter. I know millionaires that drive an average car. I know broke people that drive fancy cars, and I think we all do. So yes, there are going to be some people that judge a book by its cover. The other day I had a comment from an agent. She said she went to a listing, and I think she said she drove a Toyota Yaris, if I'm not mistaken. And then when the client came out, he said, "Oh, you only drive this car. I thought you were successful." And she was like knocked down by that. But that was the first seller out of 100.
Yeah, good point.
So are we going to be knocked down by that one person that might have a perception? Because do you want to drive that car or do you want to earn that car?
Yeah.
Because earning that car is just so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you come from a big agency and now you're training, I don't know how many thousands of agents. You're doing it independently now. What we often hear questions is when someone wants to join you as an agent, is they start with, what is my split? Because this company is offering me 100%, this other company is offering me. So what I generally look at is what the company is offering you in terms of commission is irrelevant compared to your selling power that the company can give you with the activities the company is doing for you. So what I'm finding is maybe there's sometimes a mistaken belief that it's all about the money. Whereas if you don't sell a single house, 100% commission is 100% of nothing. Mm-hmm. So what is your experience with having trained so many people? Is it, again, down to the agency, down to the agent, down to the activities, or is the commission a big factor, the commission split that they're getting?
Funny enough, no. What I see is that the agents that stay with companies, regardless of their split, is based on support and training.
Okay.
Because if you give someone a ridiculous split, how can you have the resources as a company to train them, guide them, give them marketing, and give them the resources that they need?
Yeah.
Now, if you're brand new to the industry, don't look at your split. Look about who's going to give you the best support, who's going to give you mentorship, who's going to give you training. Because if you go to a place that doesn't give you any support, then how will you get to make money in the first place?
Yeah.
So if you're making 100,000 Rand and you're on a 50-50 split, that's 50,000 Rand. But if you're on a 99.1% split, but you make zero, that is still zero.
Yeah.
So it's all about having the tools first. Now, by all means, there are many great companies that offer high splits. There are.
Yeah.
But the reality is that you take yourself with you wherever you go. Now, if you win selling on a normal split with all the support, you're not going to sell with a higher split. So the first thing that you need to look at is support, culture, and is there someone that you want to learn from? Because if you're looking at leadership and you go, "Ooh, I never want to be like that person," then why are you joining the company? Because we become like the people we spend the most time with. So someone needs to learn from, so you are more important to this company than the name on the wall, for example, because it's your mentorship. It's your mentorship that is taking your agents from where they were to where they are right now. It's the mentorship, the training, having your own academy. Those are all things that are value to them. The way you do marketing. So look at what support, culture, and tools are there. A lot of companies also say, okay, you're on a very good split, but you do all your marketing. Now, if I know nothing about marketing, then I'm not going to first learn marketing before I can be a real estate agent, because again, it's different jobs, right?
Yeah.
And yes, you need some sort of marketing experience to be able to do that, but there has to be some kind of a structure in place. So could you be successful on a 80-20 split? Yes. Could you be successful on a 50-50 split? Yes. But in my experience, the agents that I see that make more money on 50-50 splits, because they don't have to worry about the rest of the stuff that gets done for them by the company. Those people that have to wear many hats are wearing many hats. And if I wear many hats, there's something in one of those hats that I'm not doing. So I'm not saying it's not possible, just in my experience, the majority of my top producing agents are on a normal 50-50 split, but their support in their office is magnificent.
Okay, that's actually fascinating and very good to know and interesting to know. And you mentioned mentorship, and I mean, I feel now after quite a few decades of experience, I still need to ask people, and obviously by now I have enough friends in real estate that are not official paid mentors as such, but we get that. I personally feel you need a mentor forever. It's just maybe the level of questions or the complexity of your issues, maybe it becomes even deeper, but you never not need a mentor, no matter how many years experience you have. I think maybe that's another misconception, is at some point we start feeling we're very knowledgeable, and now we can fly on our own, only to realize that you always need that support.
Yes.
Whether it's from your company, from a mentor, whichever way, or from your constant learning, because things change all the time on top of everything else.
The moment my job is to learn and know more every single day. That's literally what I do all day, is find out what works and what doesn't. And I don't know everything.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for more than 15 years and I still don't know everything. And the moment you think, okay, got this sorted, it goes and change.
Yeah, the magic formula. Everyone wants to know. The
Exactly.
3 secrets.
Yeah. There is no such thing. There is no database that's going to give you all the contact details of people. There are no one pricing tool that's going to work every single time. There's no one negotiation script. It's having enough tools in your toolbox to be able to know that if this one doesn't work, this one is going to work. But when you have a mentor, it's so important, because it's just that springboard.
Yeah.
Just to say something out loud, but also getting someone that will be willing to be honest with you. So if you are making excuses and you think they're reasons that will call you on it to say, hey, no.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's no listings in the area, but there's like 25 on the portal. What do you mean there's no listings?
Yeah.
Are there no listings, or you're not willing to go out there and get those listings? So a mentorship is just one of the most powerful things, because it's kind of like a magnet. They just pull you a little bit further. So even that time when you feel like I can't do it anymore, and you speak to your mentor, they go, one more phone call, one more step, one more listing. And before you look back, you go, oh, wow, I did an extra 3 hours worth of work that I wasn't willing to or thought I could do beforehand.
Yes.
So the person that you choose, and it's based on who you align yourself with. If you're aligning with the right person, that mentor can either make you or break you.
Yeah.
So it's important to choose, because if you have a mentor that's dodgy and that cuts corners, that's what you are going to learn, not because you are dodgy, but because you don't know any different. Because if you go into a new industry and no one tells you how to do things, and someone tells you, well, this is the way you do it, but it's actually not the right way, you're going to learn the wrong ways from the beginning. So aligning with a good brand, good reputation, good mentor is probably key to your success.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, that's, we've all heard the story. Oh, no, I'm not going to use this agent ever again because A, B, C, D. And often maybe the intentions weren't bad. So, just to recap in terms of people wanting to become agents, because we really, last year we spent a lot of time training people. And what we realized really was that this misalignment of expectation, it's very glamorous. We all watch $1 Million Listing, Selling Sunsets, and all these amazing, beautiful shows. And we envision ourselves, arriving in the Maserati and so on. So, however, not everyone wants to do the work. So, like you said, we don't want to be negative and we don't want to just bring everything down, but we also have to be realistic, because the right person needs to be in the right job. Very easy to sign up, but also very easy to walk away. So what would your advice be if someone says, I love watching property shows, I think I'll be a very good agent because I helped my cousin sell their house and I helped them how to renovate, and therefore I'm quite good at property?
I would ask you, can you take rejection?
Yeah.
Do you like to deal with people? Because this is a people business. And if you're one of those people that don't like people, you're probably going to have a very difficult time. But I would also tell you that every single picture that you envision will be possible, provided you start at door number 1. So you can be that millionaire real estate agent. You can drive the Maserati if you wanted to, but you are going to start at door number 1 with the skadonk, and not being able to go out for dinner on Friday night because you're taking that time to learn the real estate terms or to learn your contract. So if you're willing to do that, you will absolutely be able to go. So the first thing that you need to do is find someone, find a brand, find an office, find a mentor that you fit into. That's the first one. The second one is, don't worry about your split. Training, coaching, guidance, and systems. That's the second thing that you're going to do. But the third thing, and the most important thing, is the sweat equity that you are willing to put into it. Because we all think knowledge is power, and we watch a training and we go, great, I've watched this training, then I wait because now stuff needs to happen. Yeah. No. You have to go and make it happen. Yeah. Because knowledge isn't power. Knowledge gives you confidence. Knowledge gives you that ability to have the confidence to go out there and get the listing, but you have to action it. We all know how to get a 6-pack, right? Yeah. We all know how to get buns of steel. Yeah. Not a lot of us do, right? Yeah. It's because we are not willing to do the actions that are needed. And you don't go do 10 sit-ups today and tomorrow you have a 6-pack. You have to do it over and over and over and over again. So you need to be willing to do the work. You need to be willing to be bored at the work. And you need to be able to do it consistently for at least 6 months to a year before you can think about quitting. Then I'll say, absolutely, you are going to be a superstar real estate agent. Is it always going to be fun? No. You're going to meet the worst people in your life in real estate, but you're also going to meet the best people in your life in real estate. There is no difference between someone watching this and the superstar real estate agents out there. The only difference right now is that the superstars are willing to action it because they also started where you are. They also started with the doubt, the fear, the not knowing. They started with all of that. And some of them, if you look at the top guys and they tell you stories, you'll be shocked about the things that they went through. And you go, seriously, you were that agent? Yes. We've had agents that are now top producing agents that goes to a deal without taking a contract with them. And if someone wants to sign, they don't have the paperwork. And it sounds so obvious.
Yeah.
But those are stupid mistakes that people make. You need to be willing to fail because the reality is there's no failure. You either win or you learn. But every master was once a disaster. And if you're not willing to be a disaster, learn, not know all the answers, then you won't be able to get to that end result. Because everything we start with uncertainty and doubt. Doing it long enough, being willing to go and do the things you can. Commitment, perseverance, and sweat equity. If you've got those three things, you can be a real estate agent. But if you're not willing to do that, and if you don't have that, then maybe real estate isn't for you. Because the reality is the ones that do well, do really well.
Yeah.
But the ones that don't, do really badly.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you don't have a sale that's zero income, it's not even a 3,000 or there's zero coming in because everything is commission based. So this is what you put in is what you're going to get out. So if you have nothing coming out, it's about putting it in. And sometimes you're putting it in way longer than it takes to get it out. So are you willing to stick through that 90 to 180 days to get your results?
Have you met this very unfortunate agent? Because we have had a few people that, according to them, they've done everything right, but nothing worked out. Universe conspired, everything. Do you believe that thing exists, or is it an attitude? Because in my experience, it has been a negative attitude towards the work. So you already decided it's not going to work before you've done them. So you go through the actions, but you don't go through the actions expecting a positive result. So therefore, if you talk to some of these people, they will tell you all these horrible things that happen just to them, including, the economy collapsing and all that.
Yeah. So no, I think for them it's true because if you want to change the way you look at things, you have to change the way you look at things. So if someone looks that everything is bad and it's never my fault, then that's what they're going to experience. But the reality in real estate, it is never, ever, ever the market. It is always you. Which means that if you do the thing, the results will come. If I add 2 + 2, I will get 4.
Yeah.
There's no other way. But if I don't do the thing, then I'm not going to have the results. And what people do is they do the thing, but they don't do it properly. One of my favorite quotes from Wallace D. Wattles says, do each day all that can be done in a day, but do each act efficiently. So what I mean by that is I can lead generate for 2 hours and make 2 phone calls. Or I can lead generate for 2 hours and make 20 phone calls and make deep connections with those people. So did I do the right thing? Yeah, you did the right thing, but how did you do it? I can show up at a listing and do a listing presentation. I'm doing the right thing, but I didn't prepare. So when the seller asked me questions, I didn't know what to say. I didn't have all the information. So if you do the right thing with the right attitude and prepared, the results will come. So if the results don't come, there's something in your formula that you're missing.
Okay. So it's always you.
It's always you.
I should tattoo this on my arm or something.
And it's hard to say, but there's something empowering about that as well. Because if it's always me, it means I can change it.
Yes.
But if it's your fault or it's the market's fault, then I have no power and I have to wait for you to allow me to be successful. But if everything is me, it means I can change it today. I can change it tomorrow. It's always, always you, never the market. And you are going to have quite a few people going, no. It's always you.
Yeah, my unique situation.
Yes, it's always you. It's always you.
So, I mean, I love real estate. I've been doing this for years now. And yes, I have met quite, pretty horrible people. And I'm sure there'll be worse, to come. But I've also met amazing people and made long-term relationships. And what I love about it is that it's always different. Not one day is the same. Not one house is the same. Every house is a challenge in a sense that it might be the most amazing looking house, but you need to still, there's a challenge to find the buyer. The more expensive the house is, the fewer the buyers. So for me, It's a great place to be, but I've been doing this now over 15, 20 years. And quite a few years I didn't make money. So for me, yes, come on board, but patience is very, very important. Thanks. And perseverance and grit.
You don't get a baby today and tomorrow you're like, but why are you not grown up?
Yeah.
And you get upset about it, right? You know that I have to feed it, I have to love it, I have to care for it, I have to nourish it, I have to love everything about it. And you instinctively know that it's my job to raise a decent human being so that when they grow up, that they could flourish. It's the same in real estate. Are you loving your business? Are you caring for it? Because it's not going to be grown up tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. You have to grow it.
So your advice, go for it, but be prepared to take no.
I'm going to say that this is the best industry in the world.
I agree.
But you need to do the things needed to get you there. You need to do the things. If you don't do the things, then there's no magic formula in real estate. No one has ever knocked on my door to say, here's a 6 months mandate, priced right and full commission. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You have to go and do the work. There's an old saying that says, God feeds every bird, but not in its nest. So the listings are there.
Yeah.
You just need to go and get them. So if you're willing to do it, go for it. There is no better. I mean, come think about it. You don't have to go and study for 4 to 5 years. All you need to do is get your FFC and you can start tomorrow. If you've got your FFC and you can start trading, you can start learning the industry. But it's all about you. Aligning with the right people, aligning with all of that, yes, that plays a big part. But it's still 99.999% you. Are you willing to take the actions needed to get you to where you need to be? So go for it if you're willing to put in the sweat equity. Otherwise, stay away.
Okay. Keep to your part-time job.
And there's no right or wrong. If real estate's not for you, that's great. But if it is for you, don't sell it short just because you had a few bad months.
Okay.
Because not in any business that you are in, even if you, I don't know, doctors, lawyers, not everything that they do they enjoy. There are always certain things that we don't like to do, and it's the same in real estate. But are you willing to push through those to get to the end result?
I reckon I would enjoy more things in real estate than if I'm a surgeon, right?
So yeah, because different people, different strokes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was very insightful. I actually learned a lot. I think I've got a few more questions to ask when we're interviewing all these youngsters. We've got 2 lined up wanting to come on board this week. So, guys, whoever watched here, thank you for watching all the way. And I really hope you think about real estate, but I also really hope you take it very seriously because it can be a career for life that you're going to love. And if you want to learn more about it, Nicolene is your girl. We'll share all her details on our video and podcast and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.